What is up, hooligans? Welcome to season 2 of the Red Flag Collectors. Still Danielle, still your host, still the star of the show. Here we are. That is not going to change. I know it's been a couple weeks since you guys have heard from me live. We've had the season finale, we've had the best of episode, but now we're back. We're here with live guests. We are taking producer Jack's advice and we're taking a real educational turn on the show. So you guys will see some good stuff coming, good facts, good information. Yes, there will still be funny stuff, like don't worry. But this season, I'm really committed to spreading awareness about different things and just like teaching you guys some stuff. So my guest this week, she is familiar to you guys. I am joined again by retired Army captain and military public policy advocate Erin Scanlon today.
Hi, thanks so much for having me again.
Welcome back.
Thanks for letting me be here and hearing you hype yourself up. I love it. And listening to your intro is so fun.
Oh my gosh, I always feel so awkward, but you know what? We're going to do with what we have. So this is it. So guys, as I said, these episodes are going to be very educational moving forward. And this episode, we're going to kick off with a serious topic, but it's a topic that there's just a lot of information, but also misinformation about, and there's just people who are doing great work behind this cause. And I think it's something that really should be recognized. And Erin is someone who has done great work in this field. And I think she deserves to be recognized. And I want to kind of bring her to the forefront with this.
Thank you. That's so sweet.
Yeah. So first question for you. What sparked your involvement in victim and public policy advocacy? That is a mouthful. So if I butcher that, I'm sorry, but
that's okay. So yeah, that's a big question. Okay. So what I do is military and veteran advocacy with a big focus on victims of military sexual assault advocacy. And I got into that because of my own experience while I was in the military. I was raped at a party, an alley on like Friday night by another service member. And I did what I had been told I was supposed to do, which was report it. Well, that spurred a whole like chain of events and cover up by the military that changed my life very severely. The whole response was probably as traumatic, if not more, than the actual rape itself. And I really became the advocate for other victims after my court-martial. Not my court-martial, the court-martial for the perpetrator when I was the victim. So a court-martial in the military is a trial. So basically he was put on trial for rape and sexual assault. I had to testify, a little different than the civilian side, but like still law and order in a courtroom, you know, being cross-examined by the attorneys. The burden of proof is on the prosecution. So it was like the prosecution's job to prove that I was raped and I was that main witness. And so I had to explain everything in this courtroom to all these strangers. And because of who the perpetrator was, and there's a whole lot going on in the media now, but as we know, the military doesn't really handle sexual assaults, doesn't really prosecute sexual assaults well, especially when the accused, I say perpetrator because I know he perpetrated the crime, but technically it's accused. When my perpetrator was a very highly trained special operator, like the kind of guy you see in the movies. The military invests lots in them. They're like highly trained killers, and the heroes of the military, really. And so because that's who he was, and then because I think the military wanted to avoid the bad rep of like one of those guys being accused of rape, there was like this whole cover up that went on in the trial. So basically, I, as the victim, had absolutely no chance for justice in the courtroom. We always hear like, if you're accused of a crime, you have the constitutional right to a fair trial. Well, as the victim, I had no fair trial at all. It felt like I was the one on trial, and when I realized, how unfair this whole trial was, I tried to do something about it. And just to give examples, and like you can, if you really wanted to, you could read my entire story online, but just some really quick like examples. My attorney was ordered to testify against me. The military hid some witnesses because they were also like these special operators. So just like really not a fair trial whatsoever. And so after it ended, I was like, wait, like what the fuck? Like that was not fair at all. The military should be held accountable for that. And that's when I started becoming an advocate, very like slowly at first, just by telling people what went wrong, and trying to help like senior military leadership understand what went wrong and why. But also in trying to sue the military, which you can't do legally. No service member can sue the military for any reason, which I learned after I tried to sue them. And that really became the public policy spark for me, because I realized, I guess, at some point, all I was doing, I'm sorry, this is like turning into a rant, but like all I was trying to do from the moment I reported was stand up for myself. And after the trial, like I was still just trying to stand up for myself because I knew it wasn't a fair trial. And so in order to fully stand up for myself, at some point I realized we have to change the laws. We have to change the policies. Like there's nothing else I can do this high up the chain of command. Like Congress is involved at this point. So that's how I got into public policy and victim advocacy, and started working with an attorney, awesome attorney, Natalie Quam. She's like a freaking military, like civil rights attorney. I became like one of her first sexual assault victims that she was representing, and then was joined by some very, she also became the lawyer for the really high in the publicity Vanessa Guillen murder case. Another soldier who said she was being sexually harassed, and then she was murdered on post. So that's how I got in the public policy, victim advocacy, military advocacy world.
Well, first, I want to say thank you for sharing your story with my listeners. I think that's horrible what happened to you from like beginning to end. I think it's just really unfair, and no way, shape, or form should you have felt like you were on trial when you were wronged. I find that like very disturbing, and I think that's like fucked up. I didn't know that you couldn't sue the military. So it basically sounds like when you are in the military, if something happens to you and you are wronged in court again, that like that's it, like you can't do anything. Basically, yes. Whatever happens to you is your problem. It is, yes. What that sounds like.
That's exactly what it is. I obviously had no idea about any of this either until after it happened to me. And it actually all goes back to a 1950s 1950 Supreme Court decision, Ferris v. United States, where the soldier was killed in a barracks room fire. So like, imagine he's on a college campus, he's killed in a fire in a dorm room because the dorm building wasn't up to fire code. So his widow tried to sue the military and was like, you didn't keep your, you forced him to live in this building and then you didn't keep it up to fire code and he was killed in this fire. I'm going to sue you for wrongful death. The Supreme Court decided no, because he's on active duty. His death was incident to service. That is what he signed up for when he signed up to serve our country.
He did not sign. What? He did not sign up to die in a fire. You did not sign up for what happened to you. What? Yeah, that's the Supreme Court decision from 1950 that has been used to this day to prevent any service members from suing for anything. Obviously, it started to prevent them from suing from injuries sustained during combat. That's in the law, but the Supreme Court decision set the precedence that they can't sue for anything. And actually, the very first workaround that Supreme Court decision only happened in December of 2019 when my attorney helped to get medical malpractice claims allowed. So now service members can sue for medical malpractice because they couldn't even sue for that before or file a claim for that. Civilians, government employees could all sue for medical malpractice. Service members could not until they passed that law in December of 2019. And it's only just now sort of being implemented. That's interesting. So yeah. I have another question on that topic. So since you were unable to sue the military, were you able to sue the perpetrator in civil claims court or no?
So that's kind of how it started. I didn't really know a whole lot about the legal system, but basically what I was told is that's pointless because he'll just declare bankruptcy and nothing will ever happen of it. Anytime something happens like that, lawyers are going to want to find someone that they can actually hold accountable. For me, it was the military because I didn't receive a fair trial. They didn't fairly or properly investigate the sexual assault to begin with. But that Supreme Court decision prevented that. So yeah, that's the thing with a civil lawsuit. That's what apparently people just declare bankruptcy and then nothing happens. Because the only justice in civil court is monetary.
Ugh, I hate that. And the thing is too, the military, I feel like with that is protecting themselves because with everything that is in the news, and I'm sure there's 150 times the amount of things that aren't in the news or aren't reported, the military would be broker than the freaking student loan debt index. I don't like that.
What's funny is I didn't know any of this until it all happened to me. I didn't know anything about the legal process, in any way. So.
Oh God.
Yep.
I hate that.
I'm sure the general American public did not know that the military have so few options, so few rights. We have less rights than them, obviously, because the military can order you to go places, but we signed up to be ordered to go into combat, not to be sexually assaulted or murdered or killed in a barracks fire.
Right. And that just, it grosses me out. It's fucked. The whole thing.
Yeah. It just reinforces that. Yeah. There's no accountability. They can do whatever they want because they're in charge. They prosecute their own crimes. So no, that's the other thing of what I've gotten into is when someone in the military reports a sexual assault, the person who's accused of sexually assaulting, their boss, their commander, chooses if they're going to press charges or not. Yeah.
What?
Yeah. So if you were accused of sexual assault, your boss would be like, well, like, I like Danielle. Like, she's a good worker. Or could be like, I like Danielle. She's a good worker. I'm not going to like press charges on her. This person's probably lying. They're just jealous of her and her cool podcast. Like, they just want to bring her down. No, I'm not going to press charges on that. That's the discretion that commanders in the military have. And that's the other fight that we've been fighting.
That is literally the stupidest thing that I have ever heard anyone say. And I have heard a lot of stupid things, but that literally makes no sense, that you would have a third party that has some sort of relation to the perpetrator get to choose what happens.
Yep.
Who made this stupid rule? Like, that's so stupid.
Yeah. I mean, it started in World War II because, like, yeah, if something happens while you're in Europe and you're accused of a war crime, like, your commander will just, be involved in that. But like a sexual assault, like in America, like off post on my weekend, and the military is still deciding how it's going to be like prosecuted. It's crazy.
That, like, now I'm like overwhelmed with being mad because that is the dumbest thing that I have ever heard. And that just, like, honestly, like, really, and I feel like sometimes I like bash on the military in this podcast. Like, it's not meant that way, but like, I feel like they're not doing what they can to protect their own that have been wronged. Like, they're protecting the wrong people. And like, that's, I think, what makes me like very angry about this situation is they're not protecting the people they should be protecting. Like, they're on the wrong side.
Yeah, they're protecting like the military as a whole, not the individual people in the organization, like the individual service members who signed up. And that's something like I struggle with too, is because I'm fighting this fight. Like, a lot of people think that I hate the military. I don't hate the military. Why would I be fighting this hard to change things for all the people in the military if I hated it so much?
Right. It sounds like you hate the outdated rules, the policies that don't make sense, and the things that are like shielding people who are hurting other people.
Yeah. The military is like 100 years behind the rest of the United States in terms of like civil rights. It's crazy. And it's just like because everything moves so slowly in the government, I think. I don't know why, but yeah.
Yeah. So we don't hate the military. Like, let's just make that a side note. We hate the policies, procedures, rules, and the dumb shit. We hate the dumb shit. We don't hate the military.
Yes, exactly.
To be clear.
To be clear.
We are very, very clear in this. We do not hate you. Please do not get us in trouble for anything. We don't mean it.
Yeah.
But your rules are fucking stupid. I will say it again. Yeah. So let's take a positive spin on this. So okay. What has been the most rewarding part of this work for you?
Okay. So this is really exciting because it literally like was released by the Secretary of Defense a week ago, 2 weeks ago.
Ooh, breaking news.
Yeah. So all these things that myself, all these advocates, my attorney, Vanessa Guillen's family, everyone have been arguing is take the commanders or the bosses out of take the sexual assault prosecution out of the chain of command. Why are, like I was just explaining, why are the bosses of the accused deciding if they're going to press charges or not? You cannot reasonably expect one human person with emotions and feelings and not always rational decisions, that's the boss, to simultaneously prosecute someone and support the victim who all work for him. Why is that person doing the prosecuting? Why are they deciding if the crime is going to be prosecuted? Take sexual assault out of the chain of command. It started, I'm going to be like, oh, it started with me. It definitely didn't start with me, but like, I was very fortunate enough to like the right time and place and the wrong things that happened to me, I was able to start bringing this to national attention. And then when Specialist Vanessa Guillen from Fort Hood, Texas, was killed on post, that's when it absolutely blew up in the media. The military Me Too movement, Salma Hayek was posting every day, like, find Vanessa Guillen, where's Vanessa Guillen? That's when my attorney started representing her family as well. That really brought this fight to the next level and forced Congress to like pay attention. Which, like, as much as you can hate on celebrities, in that way, they can be freaking awesome policy advocates. Which you see, like, Ashton Kutcher does the same thing with like child sex trafficking. Like, Salma Hayek, thank you, that was awesome. That got it to the attention of Congress, and the military was forced to conduct these investigations, an investigation of Fort Hood, and then an investigation of the Department of Defense and how it, in general, and how it prosecutes sexual assault crimes. That started in January with the new Secretary of Defense. He released a statement saying, like, I'm establishing this independent review committee. They're going to investigate. They're going to interview people. They're going to interview victims, commanders, all kinds of stuff for 90 days. And then they're going to create recommendations for me. He released their recommendations 2 weeks ago, and his directive to the Department of Defense, which was to start creating an implementation plan of how to take prosecuting sexual assault crimes out of the military, out of the chain of command, to establish that unbiased third party who decides if they're going to press charges or not on this reported sexual assault. So everything that I've been like ranting, like telling everyone like needs to happen, is actually finally happening. And that's a change that has been in place, or that will be a change to policy that has been in place for 70 years.
That's awesome. And like the fact that like you are pushing so hard with this, I think that's just like, I don't want to like sound stupid. I don't even know how to respond to this. I really do think that like it's showing that like all this work that you've been putting in for so long is really starting to pay off, and it's going to impact a lot of people's lives.
It's going to impact positively so many hundreds of thousands of soldiers, service members, all these people who raise their hand to serve our country. And it's amazing that like what I've been saying is finally being listened to. It's amazing to have been part of this. I mean, this is like a very historic thing. This is like huge. Like,
it's a movement. Like, this is big.
Like, literally laws are being changed, which will, I mean, they're changing the Uniform Code of Military Justice, which this part of it had not been changed since 1950. Not the same year as Fair's Doctrine, unrelated, but it was just because of World War II. And I was a part of it. And like, that wouldn't have happened if I hadn't been sexually assaulted, and it wouldn't have happened if I had gotten a fair trial from the military.
Yeah. And I mean, you put in the work, and I think that you've really been like recognized as, I don't know if like national like figurehead is like the right word, but like public figure, a public figure on this. I don't know the right term to like think of right now, but like I feel like you have really become like a spokesperson for like what's right.
Yeah. Like, I actually had the opportunity back in March to testify at a Senate Armed Services Committee hearing on this issue as like a victim survivor / subject matter expert, sort of. And I only became that way because I started really studying like what the issues were and why. I guess the why was the bigger thing. A lot of people know what the issues are, but not why and or how to improve.
Yeah, so I think that makes sense. So you did mention the Senate committee hearing. Would you say that that's one of like your proudest accomplishments throughout all of your work that you have done? Or what is your proudest accomplishment?
So I think uh, I get proud when people ask for my opinion on the subject, like being asked to testify at that hearing, because it shows like they value my opinion. They value my thoughts on it, my experience and my expertise now. I say experience because that was like being the victim, and then my expertise as actually starting to study the policy. And then just being part of like the team and like the policy window that allowed these changes to like finally start happening. Like I would say like July 2nd, when the Secretary of Defense released his directive to say like start figuring out how to take these crimes out of the chain of command, that being like part of that team is really cool. Really cool.
That's awesome. And I think too, something else, it shows that you took like such like a negative situation that it ruins a lot of people's lives, but you didn't really let it define you. And then you blazed a path forward to change this for other people. I think that says a lot about you and your character.
Well, thank you. Yeah, I mean, I think at some point I recognized the benefit that I had of being the victim. And I don't mind calling myself a victim, because I say like it's not like the typical like, oh, don't play the victim. No. I'm talking like literally I was the victim of a crime. Taking that experience of being the victim of a crime is a huge learning experience, or it can be a huge learning experience if you choose to try to learn from it. And it became an opportunity to better understand the issues and the system and the changes that we needed. So really, it was just an opportunity.
Yeah. And I think you made great strides in a positive way towards like from the negative situation. I think that that's something that's really important versus just kind of sitting there and having like let it happen. And I mean, I think I can't speak for people, but I know people deal with things in different ways. But I really think that you took this and said, this is not going to define me, and I'm not going to kind of just sit with this forever. Like I'm going to make a change. Like I'm going to do this no matter what.
Yeah, it really became like, you know, you could not be this policy advocate for this issue because you don't fully understand as well as I do what it's like. And that is the opportunity that being the victim, allowed me.
Yeah. And I think too, it gives you a lot more credibility to with these things that you're building because you've experienced this. And I think
right.
We see it a lot. And that's like a lot of people's like complaints with the government. Like it's a bunch of like old white guys making laws for like young women or minorities. And like they don't know. So I think I promoted you to president in my episode with Chris. So I'm still voting Erin for president. Change all these fucking rules. Let's do this. Let's go.
Yeah, it really, and that's what being a good leader is all about too, is like going to the people who know a little bit better than you about that specific area and getting their advice and their opinion and taking it from like, and don't get me wrong, like I still have my bad days and I still like every once in a while I'm like, I wish I'd never freaking, I'm just gonna say fucking because that's freaking.
You can say
me.
Fuck. I keep saying fuck the whole time.
I know. I just like forget because I'm on your show. Like I, obviously still sometimes I'm like, I wish this never fucking happened to me. But also I'm glad it did because I couldn't have been the advocate that I turned into without it.
Yeah. And I do think it says a lot about you, like just in general, that you're willing to fight this fight every day for men and women in the service who might not be comfortable fighting the fight themselves.
Yeah.
Okay. So we got 3 questions left. Okay. So as a victim advocate, what has been the toughest part for you throughout this process?
Okay. There's like a lot of tough parts. One, the biggest thing that I ran into after the Senate hearing, which is when I kind of like, I like kind of shut down a little bit internally. I stopped doing my own podcast. I didn't talk about this for a while, was the feeling of like beating my head against the wall and like no one's listening. Like, and it was because I had been asked to again, like write this impact statement about the issue and how it affected me and blah, 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 blah. And I was like, are you fucking kidding me, Congress? If you want to actually know how it affected me, go read all the news articles. Go listen to all the podcast interviews I did. Like, go watch my YouTube videos. Like, if you actually wanted to know, go fucking find it. Like, I've already said this a million times. Why do I have to say it again to each individual person in Congress, a lot of men? Like, why does that fall on me? What? Like, why do I have to do it? Go do your own freaking research. And that's one of the most, and again, like saying the same thing to like senior ranking officers in the military. Why do I have to come up with all the fucking solutions? I've already told you like what the problem is. You guys do some fucking work for once. That's one of the toughest challenges, like mentally. There's three that I can think of right now. So that's the first one.
Hit me with the second one.
The second one is that because I've like allowed myself to be very open about this and broadcast my experience on all these platforms, and because I'm not doing this as a job in any way, people, victims, survivors, people experiencing struggles reach out to me a lot. And it can be all hours of the night and day when they want or need advice, assistance, someone to listen to, whatever. And like strangers will hit me up on social media. And because I don't work a 9-to-5 victim advocate job, I see those at all hours of the day. And I don't have any like clear boundaries for myself. And that I realized finally took a like severe toll on me as well, because people come to me with like all kinds of problems, and I'm glad. But I also like, it's frustrating because I don't have the answers to everything. A lot of it is only like partially related to what I do. And at the same time, there's really nothing I can do for them except for listen, because until those laws are changed. And because I'm like only volunteering as this policy advocate right now, it's just I have no like boundaries. Like, it'll be Friday night and I'm like getting ready to go out with my friends, and someone will send me like this message, and I'm like, oh, man. And it's not that I like am annoyed with them. It's like a reminder of how fucked up the system is at a time when, I didn't necessarily want to be reminded about it. And like literally I'm just trying to think of a way that I can do this, that I can keep my mental health intact and have boundaries, and like have someone answer my social media for me until I can sit down and come up with some solutions and advice for these people. So that's like the second struggle.
Well, and I think that's probably really hard too, because it's just like the mental bandwidth and the emotional energy that I'm sure that like really takes a toll on you. And I was like, you're a very kind person. Like, you're not going to just like ignore all these people. So I'm sure it's like tough when it comes to these people are telling you like horrible things that have happened, but you're also not like a therapist that is here to therapize the entire world.
Yeah. Like I want to say,
hey guys.
No. It's Lexi and Nash. Stop.
They're ready for their time in the spotlight.
No. It's really just like I want to save everyone and I can't, and that's the mental like struggle of it. And then the third, which I think you wanted to get into a little bit, is like the social aspect of it. Like no one wants to be the face of military sexual assault because it's fucking taboo as fuck and awkward and like it just is. And that creates like all these weird things for my social life.
Yeah. And I can only imagine too, because you are such a public figure on the matter, that it's like, and I'm sure people also don't have boundaries when it comes to like talking to you, even if it's like strangers, like in public or like anything, which I can only imagine like not like annoying, but you're kind of just like, if you're out with your friends, like you're trying to like hang with your friends, like you don't want this to be the topic every time.
Yeah. Well, that and like especially hanging out with military, there's a possibility that they already know all this information about me before they've ever spoken a word to me. Dating is really awkward because I literally had to like, I mean, well, girls have, I don't know if guys do it too. Like, I don't actually know. Maybe Jack can fill us in on this. But like, how girls will like fucking Google search this person they just met to the ends of the earth. If you Google search me, like, I mean, to some people that could be a red flag. Like being a rape victim advocate. To some men, probably the wrong men, but still. And so I've literally met people before and been like, respectfully, like, and so I'm like, do I tell them don't Google me because then they're gonna want to Google me? But then what if they do and then they see all that? Like,
well, first, Jack, please do fill us in, and you can feel free to insert yourself into this episode at this point. Jack, do men Google girls before they go on dates with them? Holding for response. But yeah, I feel like that was something too. I was going to ask you, like, do you talk to someone that you're dating about this? If so, when, like, or do you just kind of like let it come up as time progresses?
Well, and then, so that also people ask what I do for a living. Like what am I in school for? What do I focus on? How am I supposed to explain all that without explaining everything that happened to me? And I guess I slowly go into it just saying like I work on like veteran advocacy. Sometimes I say do advocacy for sexual assault victims. And I leave out the part where like I was one for a little bit until they kind of like get to know me and realize like I'm fairly normal, for that. The other thing is I like have this internal struggle, and I think it's a lot of like the victim blaming culture and stuff like that. But like, am I, as a rape victim advocate, rape survivor, allowed to like go out to a bar and get drunk and wear a crop top and short shorts? Because like that's what I want to wear because I'm from the West Coast and like that's what we wear. And I also like work hard to like be hot, and like who doesn't want to feel good about themselves? But then people judge you because they're like, oh well, like she's asking for it, like maybe she made it up, maybe this, maybe that, like she's asking to be sexually assaulted. What a hypocrite, etc.
People who say stuff like that are so dumb. Like you are so dumb.
But it happens. Like, and I cannot be the only girl that feels like this. Like you get judged by men and women for how you dress and like, oh, well, you're asking for it. Oh, you want the attention, blah, blah, blah. Like maybe I just want to like feel good about myself. Maybe I just want to look hot for myself. Like
maybe I just like my new outfit.
Yeah. Like maybe I do like to have sex, but like that doesn't mean that I wanted to have sex that one time.
Right. And that's the other thing too. Like maybe you are looking to hook up with someone. That doesn't mean every guy or girl in the bar has the right to hook up with you.
Right.
If they want to without your permission, like that's
dumb, sexual assault.
Dumb,
right. There's like,
dumb.
It's so dumb. Easy. Yeah. It's literally so easy to like see the difference. But I do feel like men, and maybe I'm just like, this is my anxiety and I'm like projecting on people, but I've also been told at the same time, like, you know, I've been steered clear by a few men because I think they think that like I'm a girl that's gonna like try to trap them, try to like accuse them of some shit, you know. People are crazy, and I know I can't sound that weird. Like, I'm sure this resonates with someone.
I'm literally making faces because I agree with you. I'm making the faces at the people that are making these dumb fucking comments. I'm gonna title this episode "Dumb Shit People Do and Say" because everything we've talked about is just dumb.
I know. And like, it's so mind-boggling because like people make careers on like posting most close to naked photos of themselves, close to photos modeling in swimsuits, you know, Instagramming in super like revealing clothing. None of those, like all those people are like doing what they want to do. None of those people are asking to be sexually assaulted. So why can't I do that too if I want? Like,
no, I think everyone needs to mind their business, keep their hands to themselves, and shut the fuck up.
Right. Like
at the end of the day.
It's mind-boggling, but it's totally like an internal struggle and like the whole, I talk about this with one of my other friends who's also a survivor and a victim advocate, like remaining sex positive and remaining positive in yourself while simultaneously like dealing with healing from a sexual assault or being a sexual assault advocate. It's not easy. Yeah.
Oh, and I'm just like baffled too if like people were to give you a hard time now about like how you dress or when you go out, like
yeah. So actually I should rephrase it. It's easy for me because I always have just kind of like done whatever I wanted, but in the moment. But then I do still have those thoughts like, oh, these people are judging me. Oh, what are these people thinking? Like, it's not enough to change my behavior, but it does make me second guess myself. Like, can I wear this out? Which is really depressing because, like, I feel like in the moment when people see a cute photo of a girl on Instagram who's like at the beach posing basically, you know, in their bikini with their ass out, like it's very clearly like she's not like, come sexually assault me. But then like, why do they think that when I go out at the bar? Like, why do then we think that again when girls dress revealing that they're asking for that?
It's just gross. Like I don't even know what to say besides that. Like if you think because a girl is wearing a certain outfit that you're like asking for it, like it's gross. It's just gross.
Yeah, it is. Like you're doing, you know, whatever. I think there was like a good commercial. I should remember what that commercial was. There was like, I saw a commercial about that, about girls like asking for what they wanted. So then like one girl was like wearing like a swimsuit and she's like, yeah, I'm asking for a vacation. And then like another girl was like asking for like she was like wearing like a, I don't remember what it was, but it was funny.
Wait, that is funny. Like, bitch, no, I want a pina colada. Like, I don't want you anywhere near me. Like,
yeah, like I have to
that's
find
what it
yeah,
is.
I have to find that commercial. Like, it's just annoying. Like, why can't I do whatever the fuck I want? Like, just stop judging. Just stop judging me. You don't know me.
You want to know why? The people are dumb. Dumb. That's literally the end of the day what it is. Dumb. Okay.
I have learned too, like people like project like their own insecurities on you. So I think that's another big thing.
Yeah. All right. So last thing here. Is there any one last thing that you want people to know about the work that you've been doing?
Oh, gosh. This is a really hard question. I think to like the average person, the average like American citizen, I would want you to know like how different life is in the military, how the military like still has all these like archaic rules and laws that kind of put us back 100 years civil rights wise. And as you know, in this like awesome fucking country that we're in, like, do we really want to be oppressing our service members, like the people who sign up to defend our nation like that? And like, obviously the individual person is not doing that, but like Congress needs to take control back of the military. Like the military should not just be doing whatever the fuck they want anymore. I think to men, women, anyone who has experienced a trauma or sexual assault, reach out for help. Try to stand up for yourself as much as you possibly can. That's all I was doing. Try to see it as an opportunity for growth or an opportunity for something. To people being mean to other people and perpetrating these crimes, stop fucking touching people when they don't want to touch you, when they don't want to be touched.
Fuck off, literally fuck off and die. Like die.
Literally stop your comments about like slut shaming, victim blaming, like just let people do whatever the fuck they want. Like that's what America's all about. Like us doing whatever we want because we're free. And then just like as a whole, like advocacy, like don't be afraid to stand up for what's right, even if you're standing alone, because eventually people will realize that like you have a point and like they'll fucking join you eventually. You know, like Martin Luther King, like he was, you know, alone for a while, but like then everyone realized how smart and cool he was, and now he's a fucking national hero. So don't be afraid to stand up for what's right, even if you're standing alone. Don't be afraid to stand up for yourself either.
That was honestly some very sound advice to close this interview out. So I appreciate that. And I'm not sorry for my fuck off and die comment to the perpetrators. I stand by that statement. Like literally, I don't feel bad. I'm not taking that back. I'm taking that back.
Karma's coming for you.
All right. So thank you again for joining this week. I just knocked over a bunch of shit. If you couldn't tell.
No, I didn't notice.
Oh yeah. I rolled over my MacBook charger and it fell out of the wall, but it's fine. It's fine. Jack will edit that out because I suck. I'm either plugging in my laptop or knocking shit over in the middle of the show every time.
Remember when I first thought that you were like in a pizza parlor?
You thought I was in a bar.
That. I thought it was like a pizza parlor bar. Like I'm just picturing like Boston, like
it's literally all of my flags.
I've never been to Boston. I thought it was like a fucking pizza parlor, sports bar where you're watching. I'm not gonna make that comment because that would have. No, it wasn't. Well, I was gonna say like what sports teams are in Boston.
Erin,
I've never been to Boston. I still am like new to the East Coast. Okay, I mean I've been here for 5 years, but I don't know anything about it.
Come through, it's lit. We'll do something fun.
Yeah, we'll have to do that.
Wait till Jack's back from school or back at school, then we'll come hang.
Okay.
But now that you can cut out that entire rant, Jack, I literally spend so much of the show talking to him, but so bad. But thank you again for coming on. I'm glad we were able to kind of unpack this topic. I do appreciate you being so open and honest with everything on here. I think what you're doing, I've said it a million times, so I'm going to keep gassing you up. I think everything you're doing is so important and you really are making such an impact on lives of like hundreds of thousands of people. Like you truly are. So I appreciate you taking some time to talk with me today. I want to give you a few minutes. Tell the people if you want them to find you, if you don't want them to find you. Honestly, the floor is yours.
Thank you so much for having me. I love how you're taking like this whole educational turn, and it's just awesome because people like everyone wants to have fun, but like we also want to be smart and learn something new and like have fun in a safe way. So yeah, thanks for having me. My Instagram is Hey Erin Scanlon, HeyErinsScanlon. And my podcast Instagram is Hey Erin Podcast. Again, I have taken a semi-brief hiatus from that due to mental health reasons, as I just explained. But hopefully I will be back advocating soon. And you can also connect with me on LinkedIn now, because if you're interested in public policy and advocating and lobbying and civil rights shit, hit me up on LinkedIn, because I love that stuff.
Yes. And Erin's show, if you guys haven't listened to it, you should go back and listen to the episodes that she has out. Chris, who's been on the show and who will be back on the show in a couple of weeks for Safety with Danielle and Chris, is her co-host on there. Their episodes are really good. I like binged them one day when I was at the gym, just like, it was kind of weird. I don't listen to podcasts at the gym, but I was like, oh, I'm just talking to Erin and Chris while I'm on the elliptical. Like, yeah. But tune into that, guys. But that concludes the season 1 oh my God. Oh God. That concludes the season 2 opening episode of the Red Flag Collectors. I know that fumble is going to stay in this edit. It's fine. I got too excited. Guys, follow the podcast on Instagram at the Red Flag Collectors. Follow me on Instagram at Danielle M. Hare. You know what to do. Like, subscribe, download, follow, rate, review, whatever the fuck you do on Apple Podcasts and Spotify. And I will see you demons next week. Goodbye.